I'm going to give this presentation about the toy business. Um, so my business going to be toy business, and in terms of the business, first of all, I need to decide like what the structure of the business going to be, in which whether it will be will be the business will be traded under as a sole trader, or it will be under partnership, or it will be going to through a company. So for the sole trader, uh, the one person control the whole operation side of the business. So all the decision and everything related to business is decided by one sole person. Whereas in partnership, there are more than one person. It can be two-person, three-person, or more than that. Whereas in company is set up under the Companies Act of New Zealand legislation, and there are directors and shareholders in the company, and the business must be GST registered. After the structure of the business, now we have to look at the funding options. So we need the funds to in actual to operate the business, and we can arrange the fund through the banks, through the finance companies, through the family, or through help from the friends, and there are also a crowdfunding option available for the funding. Every lender have their advantages and disadvantages when we look the funding options. So if we're going to the bank for the funding, there are advantages and disadvantages. If I'm talking about the advantages, the interest in is tax deductible. That means like whatever interest we're getting, it also is a tax deductible. And the other thing is the reasonable interest rates. Bank always provide the reasonable interest rates as compared to other lenders. There are also disadvantages of having a business loan from the bank. First of all, it is very tough to qualify. The criteria set up by the banks is not very lenient in terms of everybody can't qualify. It depends. They have certain rules and criteria for that, like how the business sustain, how the business is growing. All those things matters when the bank consider your application. And the other disadvantage is the loan often secured against assets. So when we're getting the loan from the bank, it's always secured loan which is against the asset of the business. The other one is the loan from the finance company. So if we're getting the loan from the finance companies, they also have their advantages and disadvantages. If we look at the advantages of the finance company, they are quite easy as compared to the bank. Like their criteria is not as hard as the banks, and they are easily approachable in terms of access. Like there are various private companies available in the market, so we can just go and approach them. They also have their disadvantages, which includes like their interest rates are quite high, whereas banks interest rates are pretty reasonable. There are various loan sharks available in the market. Loan shark is a kind of term used for like the finance company who charge like quite high interest rates. It's vary around. Some private lender companies charge 40-45% interest rates as well. The third one is the finance through family and friends. The advantages of the finance through family or through a friend is that it is for a longer period. Like we don't have to be get a loan for a 3 or 5 year terms, so we it can be paid over a longer period. The other one is like we don't need any deposit, as normally if we're getting the loan, we need a certain amount of deposit, whereas in this condition we don't need a deposit. The third one is it remain within the family, or in other words, it won't go on our credit history, it won't impact our credit record, so it just stay between the family or between the friends. If we look at the disadvantages of getting finance to family or friends, it can create conflicts among families or friends. For example, like if the loan is not paid back within the agreed time frame, then it can create conflict between the family or friend, which is not good for relationships even.